want you to be mindful of your inner conversation. I want to ask you a question. How many of you have ever thought about something you wanted to do and you talked you out of it? Raise your hand, please. That inner conversation, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason that most people take their greatness, take their ideas to the graveyard with them. You know, the wealthiest place on the planet, a minister said recently, and it was so true, is not the gold mines in the various areas of the world or the diamond mines. The wealthiest place on the planet is the graveyard. Because in the graveyard, we will find inventions that we never, ever were exposed to. Ideas, dreams that never became reality. Hopes and aspirations that were never acted upon. Because most people allow that inner conversation, for whatever reason, to keep them from ever pursuing their goals. So let us begin to look at what's required in order to make this our decade. Why is it that most people don't ever reach their goals or live up to their true potential? One is fear. And there are only two kinds of fears that we're born with. The fear of falling and the fear of a loud sound. All other fears we learn, like the fear of failure. The next is the fear of success. That's one of the major challenges I had to deal with. I was working on a major project, and after it began to grow and it was extremely successful, I panicked and I walked away from it and gave it to someone else because I didn't believe that I could handle it. The other thing that keeps most people from reaching their goals is that a lot of people become comfortable. They stop growing. They stop wanting anything. They become satisfied. They stop looking at ways in which they can improve themselves. They stop putting things in front of them. I was reading something by a great man, George Bernard Shaw, and he said something to the effect that to have succeeded is to have finished one's business on earth. Like the male spider who is killed by the female spider the moment he has succeeded in his courtship. And he goes on to say, I like a state of continual becoming with a goal in front and not behind. I remember after giving a speech at a major corporation, a gentleman came up to me who was up in years, and he said, you know, that's real great motivation for you young guys, but I've done all my work. There's nothing else for me to do. I said, oh, yes. You've got a lot to give. You have a lot to offer. The fact that you're still here means that your business is not through yet. The other thing that keeps us from reaching our goal is not feeling worthy. That's where a lot of people get stuck. Because see, when you don't feel worthy of your goal, you'll begin to unconsciously engage in self-destructive behavior, like procrastinating, constantly putting things off, squandering your time, and that's what life is made of. Something else that keeps us from reaching our goal, and that is many times because we spend so much time complaining and blaming everybody or everything. I'm reminded of a friend of mine who talked about the fact that one day he was walking by this house and some people were sitting on a porch, and there was a dog on the porch, and this dog was just moaning and groaning. So he was curious, and he asked the owner, he said, why is this dog moaning and groaning? And the owner said, because he's laying on a nail. He said, well, why doesn't he get off? He says, it's not hurting bad enough for him to get off. How many of you know people who moan and groan and complain about life all the time, all right? They might moan and groan about their job. I'm sick of this job. I'm sick of you. And they just moan and groan and complain all the time and never do anything about it. They haven't got to the point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They just have enough energy to complain about it, and they consider that, in fact, they believe that that's equivalent to doing something about it, just complaining. No, that can't get you where you want to go. That cannot create your reality for you.
Make one thing clear. I don't care how important you are to me. The moment you make it clear that I'm not important to you, you become a stranger to me. I've learned that loyalty is everything. If you can't see my worth, then you have no place in my life. I don't waste time on people who don't value me. Respect is earned, not given. And I give respect to those who deserve it. But the moment you show me that you're not, that you don't care, You lose my respect. You lose my trust. People come and go. I don't have time for games or for people who think they can treat me any way they like. Simple. You respect me, I respect you. You stand by me, I stand by you. But if you decide to walk away, don't expect me to follow. So if you're in my life, remember this. It's a privilege, not a right. I won't beg for attention. I don't chase after anyone. I focus on those who matter.
Thanks, Chancellor Lee, members of the Board of Regents, all the families and friends here today. Most importantly, thanks UNO graduates of 2025. It's an honor to be here to celebrate with you. Like most Mavericks in this year's graduating class, I'm proud to call Omaha my home. For everyone who came to Omaha from across the state, across the country, around the world, I don't think Chancellor Lee would mind saying you can claim Omaha as your home now. Being from Omaha also means you're a fighter. Two things we have in common now. I was a fighter before I became a boxer. I was a competitor before I ever put the gloves on. I accepted this invitation to speak with you today because I love being around other fighters. I love people who embrace who they are. I want to be around people who love putting in work to be great. I grew up playing other team sports, but I fell in love with boxing for one reason. The only person who determines who win or lose is me. And that's what I want to talk to you today about. You control your own destiny. You get to determine your greatness. You have everything you need to be a champion. If you watch any of my matches, you know I like to get in and out the ring in less than 20 minutes. I'll keep things quick today because today is not about me, it's about you. All the mentors I've had in my life found a way to connect things back to boxing. Since I'm around other fighters today, I thought I'd do the same. Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's just as true as in boxing as it is in life. You can set all the goals and make all the plans you want, but sometimes you're going to get punched in the face. You get the job interview, but you don't get the job. You get the match online, but you don't get the date. You make an investment, then the market takes a bad turn. You can dream up what the future look like, then you just get punched in the face. But the difference between getting knocked out and being able to keep fighting is how focused you are on the next step towards your goal. Floyd Mayweather is one of the best boxers of all time, but nobody knows the amount of work he put in. People don't realize his idea of hanging out is just working out. There would be times when Floyd would be out with his friends, then run home at the end of the night just to get a workout in. Floyd achieved greatness because he didn't waste valuable time imagining. He put in the work. The most valuable resource we have in life isn't money, it's time. It's the only thing that you can't make more of. Using the limited time you have to work towards your goals instead of just imagining the outcome is what will make you great. Hard work is a non-negotiable part of the process. You gotta work hard, you gotta beat the drum until you can't anymore. The most naturally talented athlete get beat by people who are willing to work harder every day. That also means becoming mentally strong. One thing young people need to remember is to never give in to negativity. All I heard growing up is no boxer came out of Omaha. Where would I be if I listened to that? Do you think your basketball team listened to people who said they would finish second to last in their league? They believed in each other, won a conference, and gave UNO its first ever March Madness appearance. We all have doubts. We ask ourselves, am I crazy? Do I deserve to be here? Is work it. When you work hard, put the time in. A lot of people think the hard part is getting success and achieving your goals. It's not. That's where most people lose their way. When I was coming up, I watched fighters who came before me. I saw how they got money, the fame, and blew it all on jewelry and cars. Once I became a champion, I wanted more, so I had to keep being the same person and not letting success get to my head. I kept things simple. I never smoked, never drank, didn't party as much, and I stayed in Omaha. I still stay here to this day. Why leave the place that they said I couldn't make it from? You don't have to change who you are just because you're living better. You don't have to prove anything to anyone with stuff. There's always going to be someone with a faster car, a bigger house, more expensive clothes. Real fulfillment comes from somewhere else. This is important. Don't be satisfied ever. The moment I became a world champion, I didn't celebrate and call it a quits. I said, what's next? Remember, I was a fighter before I ever was a boxer. So I'm telling you, keep moving, keep growing. Today is a big day, and you should all be proud of yourself. But this is just the start. What are you going to be after today? Not tomorrow, but a year, 5 years, 20 years from now. Who are you going to be? Not your profession, but who are you going to be as a person? That's why you heard me say today, I was a fighter before I became a boxer. At some point, I'll hang up the gloves, but I'll still be a fighter. After boxing, I'm going to be fighting for the kids in my community, continue to grow the B&B Sports Academy. I'm going to fight for the people in and around the world. There's a lot of kids growing up like I did. Rough neighborhoods, no guidance, nobody to look up to. I want to be a light for them and show them what's possible. That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm challenging you all to do today. Remember where you come from. Remember that you're a fighter. I've always said we have a lot in common. Probably made some mistakes along the way. Maybe your past isn't perfect. Mine isn't either. I hung out with the wrong people. I've done things that I'm not proud of. I've been shot in the head, but I turned it around, not by luck. It's work. It's believing. I was bigger than my past. I didn't do it alone. I had people get me where I am today. My 4th grade teacher, Jamie Nolette, was a light for me, and she's still a major part of my life outside of boxing through the Pipeline Worldwide nonprofit. Everyone needs a Jamie in their life who inspire them to give back. They might be in this arena right now, so make sure you hold on to them. I'll say one more thing before I go. We all have greatness in us. When we try to be like other people, it alters our greatness. Just be you. Be true to yourself and keep working. Keep being a fighter. Thank you.
He had a great quote that said, rest at the end, not in the middle. And that's something I always live by. You know, I'm not gonna rest, I'm gonna keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time. I had a purpose. I wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play. And anything else that was outside of that lane, I didn't have time for.
At what age did that goal become crystal clear?
I made that deal with myself at 13 years old.
At 13 years old?
13 years old. That's the
You
deal
were
I made.
crystal clear about it.
Crystal clear.
And where did inspiration come from?
The love of the game. the love of the game, the challenge. Like I would watch Magic play, I'd watch Michael play, and I would see them do these unbelievable things, and I'd say, you know, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's find out. You know, I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and here I come playing, and I don't score 1 point the entire summer. I remember crying about it, being upset about it. My father just gave me a hug and said, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm gonna love you no matter what.
Wow.
Now that is the most important thing that you can say to your child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60. From there, I just went to work. I stayed with it. I kept practicing. I think that's when the idea of understanding a long-term view became important. Because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week. I wasn't going to catch them in a year, right? So that's when I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought, right? What do I want to work on first? All right, shooting. All right, let's knock this out. Let's focus on this. Half a year, 6 months, do nothing but shoot. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better. I scored.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't much,
Right.
but I scored. 12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half of 13, 14 years old, and then I was just killing everyone. What I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals. While they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And then my body, you know, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame, and then it was game.
Wow.
Now, were you always competitive from the day you were born? You were super competitive.
Competitive with things that I participate in. So I'll put it to you this way. So like, you know, basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. So at 13 years old, I had a kill list. And so, you know, they used to do these rankings, Street and Smith basketball rankings. And I was nowhere to be found because I was like 6'4", scrawny, like 160 pounds soaking wet. So I was like 57 on the list. And so I would look at 56, 55, all the way up to number 1, who these players are. I gotta hunt them down, right? And so that became my mission in high school, is to check off every other person, all those 56 other names, hunt them down and knock them down. So